Hello, everyone. Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again. What's up, fat fucker?
Two Dads, GenX edition. That's a great beginning.
Welcome, everybody, to Two Dads.
GenX edition.
And today we're going to be talking about gaming.
Yeah. I never really became a gamer, but to help us with the conversation, let me introduce our guest, Jason.
Hello.
Owner of MVP Gaming.
What's up, dude?
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about, is gaming, does it promote violence or can it be beneficial? Can it be therapeutic?
Yeah, and we're also going to be talking about how games have changed over the decades. Role-playing games versus first-person shooter games. Also, we're going to talk about our favorite games and how we've used those to kind of be parenting and how to parent through gaming. Because we know kids nowadays are so into gaming.
Yep,
and we're going to close out with what game we would like to see made.
All right, sounds good. Let's do Dad this shit.
Let's do it. What's up, dude?
Hello, welcome to the podcast of Two Dads, GenX edition.
Hi. Is that how we're going to introduce ourselves?
Yes.
I'm James Leonard.
My name is Dawson Stewart, and I have socks on.
Look, we can get into your sex life later.
What's up, Two Dads?
I'm not a dad.
No, that's okay.
I'm the guest.
You're the guest.
This is our friend Jason.
Yeah.
He owns a company called MVP Gaming
Yep.
Center. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your gaming.
Yeah, so I'm... hello, my name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm not really.
Gameaholic.
I'm a gameaholic. Yeah, so 3 years ago, I had a lightning struck me. You know, there I was, minding my own business, when all of a sudden, out of the blue, a rock hit me in the head, and I realized there is gravity in the world. So I was going to create an organization to rule the world, and I thought I would do it through gaming, because gaming is popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I was actually kind of wondering if David, flung in, hit you with the rock.
Yeah, David did.
Smited you.
I was the Goliath. This is my Goliath right here, and I was like, "Oh, we'll rule the world."
We are Goliath twins when it comes to that.
We are right here. We are. It's good. I don't have the beard, but I wanted to match somehow. So I was like, "How can I gain weight really fast?" And I was like, "Twinkies and donuts, perfect."
Yep.
So it worked.
Don't forget the pizza.
And Twinkies
pizza.
never die. Never die.
No, they don't.
They don't
Even
ever die.
100 years, they're still good to go.
Do you have them here?
I do actually.
You have Twinkies here?
I
Do you
honestly
really?
do, yes.
That's a great reason.
I found them. I found them here. They were here when I moved in. I was like, I will preserve these.
It's like Woody Harrelson has nothing on me.
Yeah, there was a picture of the Twinkies, and it was from the 1940s. Still the same Twinkies.
I believe it. Yeah,
Same with the hamburger, McDonald's hamburger.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
25 years.
The last-
Perfectly preserved. Perfectly.
Yeah, so MVP Gaming is my brainchild. That was fun. Is my brainchild
Always an adventure.
Always an adventure here. Like, it's an adventure at MVP Gaming. Woo! I don't know, man. People like gaming. I was actually during COVID trying to think about like what is a way I could incorporate profitably to make a Dungeons and Dragons store. I wanted to do a Dungeons and Dragons store because my nephew was really into it. I'm like, there are people all over posting videos online on social media during COVID. And I sat down and was working the numbers, and I'm like, this doesn't work. And then my cousin was like, well, what about gaming? And I'm like, there are esport places, internet cafes. So what do those numbers look like? So I ran the numbers, and I'm like, aha! So I sat down, and one day I wrote like a 53-page business plan and did 3 years projection of financials. It took a little more than a day, but it wasn't long. I just spent a couple days doing it, and presented it to the Small Business Development Center, and they're like, "This is the best thing since sliced bread. This is a brilliant idea. You're good to go."
Here, take our
I
money.
think that's what we did wrong. Ours was only one page of the 53 pages.
I think it was a half a page.
We
of
might
the
read more than
pages.
50 than one page.
And I'm a veteran, so in the military I was a journalist. I was not
Oh, so overkill is name of the game.
name the game. Like you just overload them with information, and hopefully you hit a home run. And we didn't hit a home run. It took 3 years to get financing to get developed and to get to where we are now. So it was a long, drawn out process of It took about 2 years because the last year was just waiting. I waited on everybody.
Yeah.
It was waiting on the bank and waiting on the landlord and waiting on the realtor and waiting on anybody and everybody was just wait.
Yeah. Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
But you're used to that, military.
I was taught well. Like, I just didn't have water. Like, I was dehydrated because I forgot. Like, I remember the waiting part from the military. In the military, you can drink water, drive on, take ibuprofen, and get through anything. And I forgot that. I remember the waiting part, but the rest of it was like ooga booga. You couldn't.
Yeah. It's kind of how my patients feel. Like, come into the hospital and they're like, okay, can we get all these tests done today? I'm like, well, you ate food, so that's another day. And then they got to read it, and they just get so frustrated. And it's amazing to me how it can be a simple test, and they can be in there for 4 days.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, what the hell?
It's almost like a racket. It's like they're just trying to hold on to them to charge more and more money.
Well, it's interesting. So what made you, I mean, you kind of said you want to do D&D first, which, there's that company Roll20 that's in, Stanley. That, honestly, COVID is what saved them.
Oh, yeah.
They had so many people donate to update their servers because they were just getting hit so hard, and I love that, your area is awesome. I mean, I wish I actually...
It's kind of a fantasy motif. I don't know. Oh, the camera. That's on, I hope it. There's dragons and fantasy and dragons and dungeons and wizards. Oh, my.
Well, and the lights are like the LED...
Well, it's like the three
fake
Marvel,
flames,
right? Dragons, wizards, and
aliens.
aliens. We just need aliens,
We got to get some aliens.
Well, you got Master Chief over there.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's not an alien, but...
And God.
Halo is the one game I just could never get into.
Me neither. I never did.
But I've also never been like the shoot 'em up, play against other people. I mean, I did with GoldenEye, but I learned the spawn points that I literally could beat you before the computer spawned you, and you'd come out of the bathroom and and I run to the next one. My brother was like, God damn it, motherfucker. I'm like, be better. Spawn faster.
Spawn faster.
And I found that, like, when I actually played Call of Duty and stuff like that, it'd be the exact same thing. People memorize the spawn points, and they just run to them and snipe you as soon as you spawn. I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you pick gaming. Well, like I said, I wish I had something like this growing up, just because I grew up poor, and computers, you buy one within 6 months, it's outdated, and the more technical the game's got, the faster graphic card you need, the more memory, and it was just hard for me to keep up, And and I'm the kind of person, like, I can save your life, probably, do heart surgery on you, but just installing Windows, I'm the guy that would have the whole thing crash. And I'm like, son of a bitch. My brother's like, oh, bring it over. And he just puts the disc in and hits start and it works. I'm like, what the? I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Some people have the Midas touch of like goo. Like, it doesn't turn things to gold. It turns things like technology. It turns it to goo.
That's
me.
me.
Just fails and it breaks down. The ones and zeros like just disintegrate.
I'm
separate
not...
consoles. It's like I sold my PS2 Generation 1 because I worked at GameStop when they came out. Rarely, was it 3? No, my PS3. Rarely played it. I mean, I think I played, obviously, just what dead. Oh yeah, obviously Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, GTA.
That, and then you had your Bounty Hunter, which actually was awesome. It was a great Star Wars game. It was actually Dooku recruiting Jaga, and you were Jaga going around basically proving you're worthy, and you're going against other bounty hunters.
Wow.
It was one of the best Star Wars games of all time.
Yeah, Bounty Hunter versus Bounty Hunter. That's cool.
It was awesome. You had Huntress in it before anybody knew who Huntress was, and kind of stuff like that. And that's just, it was a great game. It was awesome. But the point is that, like, my niece wanted the PlayStation 3 that was backwards compatible because the Generation 1 could play 1 and 2 games. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, every time I look on eBay, they're going for like $3,000-$4,000. And I'm
How
like,
much?
$3,000 or $4,000.
Oh, they said $34,000. I was like, what the?
The G2 PS3, they weren't backwards compatible anymore because they wanted you to only buy PS3 games. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up selling mine for like $6,400. And
Wow.
then I just bought her a new one. I'm like, here you go. Here's a new one, and I'll buy me a new one. But I just took care of my stuff and kind of thing, and I always found that Biden. I don't know if it was the 90s, early 2000s, after the Columbine shooting. He really promoted that gaming is what caused this kid to go crazy and kill people, and he really pushed the narrative hardcore to end gaming.
Yeah.
And we talked about in the production meeting how you felt like it's therapeutic on top of just fun too.
Yeah, statistically speaking, violence is not inherent to video games. People are either natively they have, and you can speak more to this, James. People either have a disposition towards violence, and if they get associated with like a violent video game, but I'm not going to call video games violent because they're really not. I mean, you can have They're active.
Yeah.
It's digital, but movies can promote violence, right?
Yeah.
Books can promote violence.
Oh yeah.
So video games as a form of entertainment is no different than a similar type of medium. But I think it's more the individual than it is that you become a zombie and you do things that you would otherwise out of character wouldn't otherwise do simply by playing a video game. There are, I think, over 90% of Americans play one form of video game or another, whether it's on a mobile phone, an app, or sitting down at one of these PCs and gaming, or a console and gaming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if it was truly a gaming phenomenon that caused people to be inherently violent, like there'd be murders.
It'd be like all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that, and not to make this about like social issues or anything like that, but a much bigger lead into somebody becoming violent has much more to do with their home life, the way they were raised, what kind of things they were exposed to, than a game that they played.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as a dad, like when my kids were playing or something like that, obviously I'd play Grand Theft Auto after I put them to bed and stuff like that. I try to minimize that side of it. Grand Theft Auto 3, I love how each one has like, white guy, Mexican guy, a black guy, and then it did all 3 and 4. And they actually had to curve Grand Theft Auto 3 because there was a lot of nigger and racial slurs and like bad violence, and it really did portray black people badly. And they're like, hey, look, it does happen, but not to the extent that it's an everyday thing that this guy's just going to, I'm black, I'm going to go out and kill somebody, and so I was proud of them taking a step back and going, okay, yeah, we got to really curve it back and not promote it in a way, because I think where games can come in, if a kid doesn't have a good family, moral, and background, they can see that as, oh, cool, this is kind of how life is, this is my life, and really it's not. You know what I mean? That's why the guy, what's his name? Machete guy, the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
He will only play a villain if his villain dies or gets arrested, because he wants his kids to know that violence has consequence.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And
I agree with
that.
And
I found that so awesome that he did that. And it does. And that's a great thing in Grand Theft Auto. And they've actually, the new one, I guess, they've been working on to make the consequences even worse. And the police and FBI will be like AI based, and they'll actually learn from you.
Oh, wow.
And the game will get harder and harder and harder. So you can't just go around and go on a killing spree and rob cars and do all the stuff that made kind of the game fun, because hey,
it
steal 600 cars,
now.
and then the more cars you store, the more exotic cars got.
Yeah.
So it kind of got cooler, but and that's just kind of my thing.
People trying to blame video games. You could probably use the same argument to blame Keeping Up with the Kardashians and
I think that's way worse.
All of those like reality TV shows where it's these fantasy lives that people live. How many of those? If we're gonna blame entertainment for the flaws in society, well, how many of those shows have caused divorces or neglect or cheating or whatever? But it's the same. We could use the same argument for it.
I think the underlying issue, and this has nothing to do with gaming, is that it's just it ultimately breaks down in the family, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a good structured environment for kids to mimic and to learn from and to teach them the values and to teach them those morals, then that ultimately is where the breakdown happens.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're influenced, or even adults can be influenced. We can make those wrong decisions on the media that we consume, on the entertainment we consume. But if you have a strong foundation in the family, then you're less likely to have those type of problems.
Yeah.
Then it's just indulging a fantasy, and it never goes outside of that realm.
So I didn't really raise my kids with game systems or anything like that. We had a Wii at one point, but I wanted them to be more hands-on. But one of the things that I did when we played games, we played board games and card games and things like that, I didn't let them win. And this is where I think gaming can be an advantage with parenting, especially if parents are playing with kids. It's something that can bring parents and kids together.
Absolutely.
But it also becomes an opportunity, and this is what I did with my kids, is I wouldn't just let them win a game. They had to actually beat me.
That's awesome.
Even when they were like 5 years old.
That's awesome.
And so when they actually beat me, instead of it being a norm that, they win every so often, no, when they beat me, they knew they actually beat me, and they got excited. And so I got to do two things. I got to, one, teach them how to be a good winner, be excited for the win, but also, hey, that was a great game, congratulations, you'll do better next time, what'd you learn, all that kind of stuff. And then when they finally beat me, as they got excited that they won, I got to show them how to be a good loser and say, oh man, you did great, you beat me this time, and can't wait to play you again. Instead of these, where people just sometimes, like my dad when he was a kid, he and his brothers would play chess, and when they knew that they were losing, they would just throw the whole board, storm off and be angry, and
Yeah, that's the weird thing is, without that guidance to teach your child anger management, I mean, who's thrown a remote across the room out of anger and frustration on the game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then who regretted it as soon as you did it?
Yeah.
Did it cost you money?
You're like, son of a
Never
bitch,
did it
still
again.
a remote work, $80 down the drain. Why did I do that?
Why?
I'm like, and it's over the silliest things, and I just, I hear my son, swearing and screaming, and I'll open the door and I go, you swear again, you're turning it off and you're done for the day.
Yeah.
I go, you don't need to lose your temper. It's not worth it. Yeah, it's frustrating. That guy was better than you. Beat him. And what's crazy is with Fortnite, he ended up beating Ghost. I don't know who Ghost is. Like, he was one of the top Fortnite players at the time. And he ended up beating Ghost. And Ghost was like, man, good job, kid.
Wow, that's awesome.
Then later on, he found out he was like one of the top 10 players in Fortnite.
Wow.
He's like,
Wow.
oh, shit, I beat Ghost. And of course, he never did it again. But,
Yeah,
it
that's
was one of those things. It is, he learns.
Good loser, though. He said, good job, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. Non-toxicity. That's
Yeah,
really
and it was a
important.
great example for him. He's like, oh my gosh, I got another gamer. The only thing I don't like about gaming is you got these kids that like, this is my career. I want to do this career, which you actually can have a great career.
You can now, yeah.
but
you can
it's a
pay for
job.
college.
Case in point, you can start a business where you have people play games.
Or you can use it to get a scholarship and to pay for your college to do something else.
Like programming.
There's certain military careers where they look for gamers, Predator drone pilots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're basically playing a flight simulator when you're flying a Predator drone.
Have you ever played a game that scared you? Like you felt like it was made as a testing thing?
There was one time on a farm, I was in a tractor playing chicken, and somebody tied my shoe to the...
That's not a game.
Video
That's a
game.
Saturday night.
No, that's a throwback to
That's a normal Saturday night. You always do that, James. Don't bring in the past again.
We don't want to hear about your sex life. Your go-to thing that you always say to me. No, there's a game on Apple. It's called Plague, and your whole goal is to kill the whole Earth. And it's crazy is you have you can be virus, fungus, bacteria. You pick what country you want to be, and then you adjust the immunity. You know how fast it can kill people, how fast it spreads, and then of course the world tries to stop it, and you basically can kill it. And I remember when I beat it.
By destroying the world?
Yeah, everyone died. I actually felt dirty. Like I actually felt like, holy shit, I just killed the human race. I know it was a game, but then I really got to thinking. I go, what if this is a company that's trying to find the perfect virus or bacteria or fungus to kill the human race or to decrease population? And you have 1 million people running scenarios for you.
AKA
There's
COVID.
an old 80s movie
Yeah,
that...
aka COVID. You know,
Well,
you're like,
there's
oh,
an old 80s movie that's a sci-fi that's exactly what the video game was.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the last Starfighter?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
they
an
had
epic
this.
movie.
They had this, big console game, but it was a training tool to find out who actually could then fight for the Galactic Empire. I don't know. Something
That
like
was a good movie. Bad special effects, but great movie.
Well, they didn't have
Well, I
great
mean, it was
special
the
effects back then.
80s, right? Yeah.
Those were the best.
Totally 80s. Woo!
The kids playing a game in a trailer park next to the laundromat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Starfire. You were being selected too. Defend the Earth. Yeah.
But and you never know. I mean, how many? It goes into conspiracy theory. But how many of these video games are being used to gather information, to gather knowledge of who does what? Because there's a lot of like smart TVs and things that you can actually view the room if you hack the TV.
Yeah.
So how much of this, especially when people are playing online, it's big network kind of stuff. But that's like not trying to scare people away from gaming. Probably should stop talking.
No, I mean that one was.
Oh my goodness.
That was a specific game that I actually, being in the medical field, and I'm just like, and it was interesting. Being in the medical field, I knew what would spread faster, how to get it to spread, what temperatures it would be prone to, and so I'm picking the immunities specifically based on, okay, we're having a hard time getting to Greenland. They shut down their port. How can I get it? Okay, we'll do birds.
Oh yeah, was it Pandemic?
No,
There's a board game.
It's called
like that
Plague.
too. Plague. Okay.
And they eventually did the monkey one from Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
That one I could not get them to do it. Couldn't kill anybody. This is rough. They were really good at solving it.
Dang it.
Fungus is hard because our body temperature usually kills fungus.
Yep.
Stuff like that. But so you really didn't play many like you did Atari.
When I was growing up, this is the 80s, of course. So I played Pong and like Duck Hunt when Nintendo first came out and all that kind of stuff. But my parents were very conservative, and so we had like a TV in the house, and we could watch on Fridays after school, Saturdays after our chores were done, and then like a family movie on Sundays, maybe, kind of thing. And so
back when
I
Disney
didn't
did family movies on
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Yeah, back in the day.
back when like family movies were family wholesome movies.
When Disney was alive and promoted family.
Right. But so I didn't get a lot of exposure to gaming, and so then as I became an adult, I got married young and started having kids, and so I was working and fixing stuff because we were poor and so we couldn't buy brand new big stuff. I was always working on stuff, and it never became just part of my life. I enjoy playing games, and I have played video games. My son, when he turned 16 and got a job and got his own money, and he bought his own PlayStation, TV, all that kind of stuff. And then I didn't see him until after he moved out, because he was down in his room all the time playing video games.
In the basement.
But
playing
there were a
video
couple of
games.
times where I played with him, and he destroyed me, of course, because I didn't really have the experience. But I think the creativity of them, the graphics, the action, it's just fascinating. One of the things that kind of blew me away when I was deployed, because military too, the night vision feed on a Predator drone is pretty close to some of what the video games show.
That's awesome.
It's pretty accurate,
That's awesome.
And so that kind of stuff always has fascinated me. The artistry of it, the creativity of the storylines has always been wonderful. But
Obviously we all played the Atari games, Tank and Joust.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Pitfall.
games.
Formula One,
Yeah.
Formula One was great.
Frogger,
Spy Hunter.
Ooh,
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
how's the
as-
song go again?
I have no idea.
How's the song go again?
Well, I did James Bond just now.
Oh.
But it's very James Bond like.
How does it go again?
No, that's James Bond again. No, it's kind of interesting. So as it progressed from Atari, you started getting more computer games. What was the first computer game you played?
For me, I'm a social gamer, so like I've never been one to just sit in the basement and hack away at a shooter or anything like that. If I'm not in a room with several other people or online with several other people, preferably in a room, I don't game. So like since I've started this company, my game time, it's never been too excessive, but it's diminished greatly. Like I probably get in maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. I'm a pretty traditional gamer, just a couple hours because I'm so busy working.
Yep.
I don't have time to game. So I'm a social gamer. So my favorite experience, and it wasn't my first, one of my favorite experiences with gaming was the first time I played a multiplayer game at the same time with one of my friends. And it was with the original Warcraft Orcs versus Humans.
Oh, yeah.
And we took two computers. I had a computer, he had a computer. And we took a patch serial cable and we connected them together. And we went head-to-head. It had head-to-head, and it was the first experience I had playing a multiplayer game on a computer. And it was revolutionary to me. It was just like the coolest thing since sliced bread. That friend has since passed away. And it's probably part of the reason. Thank you. Probably part of the reason why I like gaming is my company. Like, honor his legacy.
Wow.
But
it's funny you say that because it's like, oh yeah, I did remember that. And I miss that in StarCraft. I mean, I miss those.
StarCraft,
I miss those games. I hate these these pay to play or pay to win.
Pay to win.
Now. You know, it's like I want to build and do and stuff like that. Civilization's pretty good, but now it's also pay to win. Like I love.
What do you mean by pay to win? Because I'm not familiar with that.
So let's take Marvel Strike Force, for instance. You got basically all the Marvel characters come out, and you have to level them to level 60. And before they got bought out, it was maybe 1 or 2 characters a month, and you could play the little sections and level them up pretty easily, and you wouldn't have to spend any money. Well, they get bought out by a company that's pure pay to play or pay to win, and you get these people that spend millions of dollars, to stay up top and be the top guild and all that stuff, and you get to the point where you can't keep up. I mean, because you're adding like 20 characters, and then you need teams to get the one character, so you got to level 6 characters to get the one character.
It's predatory, and they design them that way
to make money.
To make money, like Diablo. Like speaking of Blizzard, we talked about Warcraft. There was a game that came out called Diablo Immortal, and when it first came out, it was a free-to-play game with a pay-to-win structure. Yeah. And there's a gentleman who spent, I'm going to get this wrong, but it was either $50,000 or $500,000, and he just maxed out everything. Yeah. And it's like, why would you design a game in order to max out? You have to spend, several years or a year's worth. If it was, I don't remember if it was 50 or 500, it was a lot, dollars just to hit the max level of everything. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I was hearing that people, just for Strike Force, they were paying, close to $1 million.
$1 million. There you go. Yeah. That's
to max out everything to get Apocalypse, because you had to have, to get Rogue, you had to have the special X-Force team, or original X-Men, and then to get Colossus or Red Hulk.
That makes the game exclusionary.
It does. It really does. And my first was Wing Commander. I love Wing Commander. Yeah, it was one of the best games. The flights, and you had jets that can go, on a dime, and that's realistic, but it was space. But, and as it advanced, it got better. And then Roller Coaster Tycoon. I love that game.
Building roller coasters is fun.
It was awesome, kind of thing. And eventually, when Rainbow Six came out, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, But I didn't really have any friends that played, so I would just have the team stay behind, and I'd be a sniper. and I would do the whole mission as a sniper. And I would succeed, and then at the very end, your team had to make it to the extraction zone. I'm like, okay, guys, I'll meet you here. And I'm just still...
We did Rainbow Six Siege 2 on PC, and I had a townhome, and I had 5 or 6 other guys living with me in the singles community.
Yeah.
And it was right before, or right after, what's this? It was right before 9/11. So Rainbow Six 2, and 6 guys, 6 PCs, and we would just squad up. That's like a Friday night activity, man. We would just like, all right, we going to town tonight? Yeah. What terrorists are we killing this time? Like, it was just.
Well, it was interesting because that led into the free play Call of Duty of people coming on and doing missions, squads going against each other and stuff like that, and just evolved. And then, you think of the next phase, the first RPG, first-person shooter was Doom.
The original, Doom, yeah.
And that's probably one of the few games that I had to have the lights on because it would freak me out coming around the corners, and you die. Until you learn God mode, you can walk through the walls and get the Gatling gun.
What's fun with Doom though is there's always that question: does it play Doom? Like they ported that game to like watches, to anything with an electronics and a piece of memory. They ported that game to see if it'll run it. And so the question always is, but does it play Doom?
Yeah.
So they've like
standard.
that's the standard. Like you can a Texas Instruments calculator. Does it play Doom? Yes, it does. Oh well, then it's worthy.
Well, then the first fantasy, I think it was Vanguard. It was like pixelated, top view. It was almost like Zelda kind of thing, but you'd be online with other people and you could build a castle and all this stuff. And it's one of those games, I think it was Vanguard, what it was called. And then next came EverQuest. And for me, EverQuest was kind of my life-changing moment where, I was newly married. My wife never wanted to go out and do anything. She pretty much just wanted to come home and read books. And so I'm like, okay, you do that, I'll go downstairs. Well, I played a druid, and I was one of the first to level 50. I mapped everything, traveled, and I would just run my ass off through, like, oh, this is level 50 zone. I'm going to get out of it. But then I'd figure out where stuff spawned. And I was one of the first to actually start selling stuff online for real money.
Really? Real money?
Real money.
Wow.
I was like, hey, I got the cloak of levitation. Who wants it? And you can only shout in your zone.
Yeah.
And somebody would be like, oh, yeah, totally cool. And they'd come and they could loot it. And then, they'd send you cash and then they'd loot it and you're like, done. Well, then that opened up an open market, in the Oasis. And it was like a little tunnel they made where people would literally could just stand and shout, selling this, selling this, selling this. And it got to where I could teleport people and got to the point where I was like one of the top players and I got invited to be a guide. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll totally be a guide.
That's cool. Was this one or two?
EverQuest? It was EverQuest. And,
the original.
And I loved that because when the expansions came out as a guide, I could walk through the zone, literally map all the mobs, figure out where they were going, figure out where the main mob was. And EverQuest was a commitment because to get through a dungeon, you were like 6-7 hours on a raid with 50 people. And if you died, you were fucked because all your gear was down there.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get back unless you had an enchanter that could summon your body, or maybe it was necromancer, could summon your body, and it was like one every 5 minutes. So you'd just be sitting there waiting until he could summon your body and to get your loot. Well, eventually, Age of Camelot came out where when you died, you'd lost some experience, but you had all your gear. And if you wanted to go get your body, you could get half of that lost experience back. So it kind of made it, EverQuest is like, cool, let's buy it. Their user interface was more friendly. So they basically bought the game, shut it down, took their interface, and took some of the ideas. And that's basically what EverQuest did, is they just would buy.
Oh, gotcha.
Buy, simulate, add.
Yeah.
And I think what I really loved about EverQuest and EverQuest 2 was the story. When you have a story behind it, and I think that's what makes a game great, is the story behind it. And the thing with Call of Duty, I loved playing the game itself because it followed pretty accurately what happened. Like when you played Pacific, you were literally going on there and you're stuck on the island.
You're talking about the original Call of Duty then?
Just all of them. I mean, they still followed, when they were like World War I, World War II, Pacific, that's when they would actually follow a unit. And it was pretty accurate to what happened in history, and that's what I liked. I never liked the getting on and playing, except for EverQuest. But EverQuest fucked up too. Is they got it to a point where you had to be top tier, pay to win, and if you weren't with a guild that was basically rated 60 hours a week, then you couldn't get the cool shit. You couldn't level up. I mean, you could level, but it's just on your own, and they started getting desperate and.
I think that's the paradigm shift that a lot of games have taken, though. They've gone from a standpoint of using it as a medium to tell stories and give experiences to using it as a medium to take time.
Yeah.
They want you to spend more time engaged in the activity so they can put something in front of you, whether it's, Fortnite selling a Marvel skin so you buy other Marvel things or whatever. But it's a time commitment like EverQuest or, Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft, whatever. Yeah. It's all about how can we keep you engaged in our ecosystem and keep you sucked in. And I think that's bad.
Yeah,
I think that's very bad. Like, I'm all about sharing experiences, building social environments, and telling stories. That's fun. And yeah, you can do that within the time frame of these games, but they're a little more predatory. Not all games are that way, but they're a little more predatory, some of them are.
Yeah.
As far as that time siphon.
So let me ask you this then, because you own a gaming company, right? what are you trying to put out there? What do you want people to be able to experience coming here?
Community. Like my number one thing is I don't sell. I mean, I sell time so people can play video games, engage in a pastime they enjoy, but it's doing it in a social community environment. So, people can stay at home and play on their video game console or computer if they have them, and not everybody does.
Right.
But, you can stay at home and watch NFL football. But how many people go out to the restaurant?
Yeah.
How many people go down to the bar to play the game or to watch the game, the football, the Super Bowl, whatever, in that analogy? Because it's community. They want to engage other people and get excited and have fun and have that social interaction. I think humans are, maybe I'm wrong, but I think humans are social creatures.
We are.
I agree. Yeah.
You have some people that don't like that have social anxiety or that are, socially awkward or they have fears. But I think innately we're very social. We want to get out. We want to engage, and so. There are still a ton of games because there's so many different mediums now that do tell stories and that share experiences and that do things to build those communities. But, oftentimes it's about siphoning that time. But yeah, here I'm just, I have a game on agreement on the wall over there, which has a list of rules that you have to follow. There are 15 rules you have to follow. And it's to promote community, positivity, stay away from toxicity, and just have a fun, safe place for people to engage in a favorite pastime.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing that the difference between World of Warcraft and EverQuest. EverQuest was like a tactitional game. Like you actually had to have a tactitional mind to how do I get the best out of each player, each character, each archetype to maximize what this mob is meant to do. And in EverQuest too, man, our guild was so good that we were one of the top 3 guilds that they would have us test mobs, and we'd get all the loot free, because we'd go in there, and some people are like, man, how'd you get that? I'm like, we're just that good, but it was so good, and I met people I never would have met, all nationalities, other countries. I mean, I have great friends across this country and other countries that I've actually gone to visit and meet. I've been to weddings of people.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And really, like, this is like the emotional part. When I got married,
Cue tears.
Well, I mean, you like leaving the church and kind of like, I talk about like the biggest flaw in the church is our lost souls, and that's 18 to 21. It's like you turn 18, it's like, hey, get the fuck out, go to singles wards, and so you have people that need the time of need of guidance is kind of where they lose a lot of people. If you don't have your own testimony and stuff like that, like I'm Christian, and I don't believe you need a building and all that stuff. I just believe your relationship with my Father stuff. That's a side note, but so my wife didn't like a lot of my friends at the time, just because they're very blunt, outgoing, straightforward. She never really got a chance to meet Alex and you, because she just never wanted to go to the lake and be in a house with 40 people, like we did as teenagers, and it was great, but she just never understood that because she never had that, because she was kind of a loner too, bookworm, never really had, the one friend she had basically stabbed her in the back so many times I can count, but.
Gotcha.
And so, trying to be a good husband, I'm like, okay, I don't want to alienate you. I want to do this, and I ended up alienating myself. And so she never understood that was my community of friends, and that's who I could talk to and enjoy life, and just not escape away from my life, because I didn't have a bad life. There are people that do that,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the fine line of, am I living my life on top of playing these games in my community? And it's funny, you get a screen in front of you and you can be the most cowardice person on earth, but you put that screen in front of you, they don't mind telling you to fuck you, you're a piece of shit, you stole my fucking mob, you fucking gun, I'm gonna come kill you. And I'm like, prove it. Come on over. And it just made, like, when they put that in Thor Ragnarok, or no, Thor Ragnarok, or is it Endgame when they go get Thor, He's like, Thor, he's back again, bullying me. He's like, I will come to your house and beat you until you're bloodied.
Forgot about that.
He's like, I don't care that you're 12, and it was. And that was where, by going back to EverQuest and World of Warcraft, is EverQuest, you really had to have a tactitional mind and adult mindset to play EverQuest, where World of Warcraft was meant for 12 and up, or whatever. I don't think they actually put 12 and up on the box, but kids could play it because it was simplistic enough, and the mobs weren't really that complicated, compared to EverQuest. I mean, you had to be on your game. Like, you were drunk, you got kicked out of our guild, kind of thing. It's like, you're too drunk, you're too slow, your damage is too slow, because we always had, monitor damage, and, okay, you're a beast lord, you should be top 2. Why are you not top 2? And you're like, oh, button, oh, this one, timing, and to get all your stuff right. And once it became a guide, it was, I didn't realize, I was getting paid. So I got all my accounts for free. So I got to the point where I had eight accounts. The voice acting kind of going, because I'd actually have different voices for each character. And people had no idea that I was playing all these different characters, And then when I got to EverQuest 2, it was a lot simpler. And eventually my brother was able to find a Ghost Protocol kind of thing that auto ran your characters, and you just play the one, and you could type it in that once I do this, it will auto do all the other ones, and it became easy, and that's what's sad about EverQuest 2 is it became basically a core group of people that would literally be one guy playing 24 people. I remember walking into the MRI room where they were doing the 3D mapping of veins and endocrine system and stuff. And they had the 6 computers, and each keyboard was like here. I'm like, oh, that's a great setup. And I remember just going right home and literally building the desk to have it just like that. It's poor, so I'm like makeshifting these computers and grabbing parts that were used and trying to make it work. And it was fun. I got to the point where I was making $3,000 a month, and you're getting all these accounts free, so I'm saving $200 a month because I'm getting them all free. And I remember when my ex was like, hey, this is destroying our marriage. Let's go to marriage counseling. And, we go back and forth. And I was like, all right, I'll give it up. I want to save my marriage. So I quit and everything. And ultimately I realized it was one of those perpetual things where she never wanted to go out. So I played this. And then she's like, oh, you're playing, so I don't want to spend time with you. Since you're playing, I'll go read. And it was like this blame. The way gaming has kind of helped with our kids, like Amanda was playing Zelda, and I hadn't quite got it started. I tried starting it at the lake, but the kids were like, oh, I want to play. So I let them play instead. And it was really cute to watch Quinn and Kira interact with her, and they'd come in, and we'd have all the kids on the bed playing Zelda, and I would just be doing nothing, but because they had my game system.
You were left out.
And so it was just kind of cool. And so that was when I came up with the idea of actually doing, family night like we did growing up. How we learned that having a family night actually promotes family, just like eating dinner. And so we always would have dinner that night, and then we'd play games and stuff like that. And it was awesome. And it was funny to see how the kids hated it at first, but eventually loved it and looked forward to it. And they just wanted to try different things, and we'd go to movie night and stuff like that. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah. When I was raising my kids, I was so busy, I missed a lot of those opportunities. I wish I'd spent more time doing games with my kids.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it really is funny. And we talked about Jackbox and how my kids would be like. Quinn would come up with the most inappropriate stuff, but it's funny how often people would fall for it, and it's just and he'd get points, and anybody could win and stuff like that. Well, I mean, kind of to close, well, actually 2 things. What's your gaming snack?
Gaming snack?
What was your go-to when you're playing your game?
So I never actually ate it, but we had, for a while I played World of Warcraft, and my buddy Jim played with me. And so there were 2 things we did every day that we played. One, I would tease him about the fact that he ate excessive amounts of cheese sticks.
Yeah.
So before we did anything, I'm like, dude, did you double up on your cheese sticks? How many cheese sticks you got? This is going to be a long one. And we would talk about his cheese sticks. And then the second thing that was a staple for those sessions, I didn't really, I mean, as you can see, I have no problem eating, but I didn't while I was gaming. But the second thing was, that's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's
That's what we said. We should just,
That's what she said.
no matter what it was, that's what she said.
Now, do you feel like you got that from The Office, or did you say it before? Because I know I said it before.
Honestly, I don't know when The Office came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
He started saying it, so it was probably at the same time. He probably got it
Yeah,
from
from that.
He probably did. And then I was just like, I just picked it up. I'm just like, so we'd always drop that. There were a couple other things. But those were the two big staples we'd have. He had to have an ample supply of cheese sticks. I don't know what he did with them, but
Mine was just food, something sugary. Yeah, I'm on a diet now, but I'm on a diet for a reason. No, but like my favorite though, probably my favorite was anything gummy, like gummy bears, gummy worms, something like that. I've always loved gummy snacks.
Yeah, I think mine was like the Chex Mix, gummy stuff.
Chex Mix.
I mean, it actually drank more water when I gamed. It was actually kind of interesting because it's like I don't like soda pop and I don't like energy drinks. And so I literally just drank more water because I read a
You're pretty smart.
study. Yeah, so smart water.
Sponsorship.
Wow.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, wait. No, we got to put tape over that. They didn't pay us anymore.
Smart water.
The dad joke of the day: if it was so smart, why'd he get caught? It's so bad. And so it's kind of funny when I work nights. I was trying to I didn't want to be one of those nurses that gained tons of weight, because you eat and eat and eat because you're tired and your body's falling asleep.
Man, I did it in the army so much.
I started reading more healthy options and stuff like that, and literally it said drink water.
Wow.
The more you drink water, the easier it is to stay awake because your body's turning it and so stuff like that.
The Army had it right all those years.
Drink water. Yeah.
What game would you like to see made?
I would like to see a really heavy microtransaction pay-to-win game that is convoluted with menus that are super hard to understand, where they're 12 deep, and you have to click on extra things, and there's glowy things everywhere. Those exist every game nowadays.
Every game,
yes,
19 different game options,
and not just one type of currency, but 15 types of currencies, and some currencies can only get bought for another type of currency
trading and make more,
but only if you have inaccurate amounts. You have to trade this currency for several of these currencies, which then require even more to get this other currency to get the best currency. We need this to be a really good microtransaction game.
Sounds like hell.
Venezuela coins with some Mexican tokens. A made-up token of our choice.
No, what kind of game would you like, though?
I honestly don't know. I think most games are pretty cool. I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2 right now. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying that, even though it takes a PhD to understand the menu systems and how to work that one out. But I finally, after 3 years of casually playing, I figured it out. It's now I can actually play the game. Ooh.
3 years later. Yeah.
I don't know. Pass.
Pass? Oh, okay. I know for me...
a therapy game?
No.
You walk in and sit down on the couch and you try your whole goal.
That's the game. Put on VR goggles and lay down on your couch and you're in a therapy office.
Stump the therapist. Can you piss the therapist off so much he kills you?
So I always, the games that I have played, I've always liked some puzzle games and first-person shooters that have, because GoldenEye,
GoldenEye.
one of the originals. But I would like to see more games become like the quality of VR improved to where it's much more realistic. Having you guys see Ready Player One?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Having a suit that has
that to me scares
little
me.
things that you can actually feel your environment. So when somebody shoots at you, there's a little sack that has a puff of air that goes and you can actually feel it. Not that it hurts, but something like that. I'd probably get into gaming and it's affordable. I'd probably do that, but just more realistic.
Yeah, I think for me, I would love Mandalorian. one where you're a bounty hunter and you can go and do that in the Star Wars base. I loved Star Wars Galaxy until they nerfed it so much. Well, basically till Sony owned it originally. I don't think so. I think Sony
The
bought
original MMO Star Wars Galaxy?
it. Yeah.
I think Sony bought it.
Yeah, because once they bought it, it just kind of went to crap.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, granted, I found an exploit where you could hide behind a rock and just kill level 50 crap because they couldn't shoot the rock, but you could. And so I leveled to max right away. And then I was like the second to become a Jedi.
Wow.
But what sucked about it was if you died as a Jedi, your character was done. You had to start over.
Wow.
And
Hardcore mode.
And that
So, like, you truly died.
Yeah. And so everybody's like, screw this. Or maybe you downgraded a Jedi. I don't know. They nerfed it like right after I got it, and then anybody could become a Jedi. So it kind of destroyed the game. But I love that open world Star Wars thing, flying to different planets. So I'd love to have a Mandalorian one like that. And like I said, the Bounty Hunter one was
Grogu?
so good. Yeah,
Grogu?
I mean, maybe. I mean, Grogu's
You
so
could be
special.
Grogu.
I don't know. I'm too big for Grogu.
Oh.
He could be Brogu.
And on that note,
I want to take my back. I would like to see, as far as technology goes, I would like to see computers be in frames and glasses, like Minority Report. Like you just wear
Oh, that'd be
glasses,
cool.
and I don't have to wear a headset or anything. But it's just the AR. Everything is just within my scope of vision. On my
AR
lenses.
or VR?
AR. VR is virtual reality. AR is augmented reality.
Okay,
So it
gotcha.
uses your existing environment and then it puts it on top of that.
Oh. Man, that'd be such a mind fuck.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I think there's a show that recently came out where it's that, but she's actually traveling through time.
Ooh, cool.
And so it's like her and her brother are playing this game. He's ex-military.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really good.
I think it's on Amazon. It's really good.
Yeah.
But she's like traveling through
really
time.
good.
They're trying to figure out, they're trying to control time by going back in time through these people. It's just like, man.
It was pretty cool.
really
Do they have enough time to go back in time through the people?
Yeah.
No,
Was
but
there
it took
time?
some time.
It took some time? Okay.
But they messed with the wrong person. Her brother's ex-military, so, I mean, he's getting in this game and just killing everybody, and they come after her, and they just take out everybody. It's kind of cool. How her brother's like ex-military.
Yeah.
Special forces.
They're trying to, like, stop some...
Special forces right here. Don't mess with him.
No, special ed forces.
I mean, the special forces that might be him would be like the donut killer.
Yeah.
We have a mission for you. Eat 34 donuts. 12 cents. No,
You gonna put up with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
he knows I'm kidding.
That's nothing compared to what happened in the military. How much we all got made fun of and kicked around. Yeah, that's nothing.
Well, we would like to thank you all for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Thank you, Jason, for joining us.
Absolutely. MVP Gaming, check it out.
We'll be back again, hopefully. And
No. I'm kidding.
my face was like, oh, okay.
Fine.
Was that bad?
We're not inviting you. Offer rescinded.
Hopefully we two dads the shit out of that.
Remember to like and subscribe for future content and alerts for when we drop a new episode on Tuesdays.
And visit our website to become an exclusive member where you can get behind-the-scenes content and discounts on merch.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our topic today. Remember, this is for our entertainment purposes, but we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Please, sir, please.
Please, I'm begging you. Please, we're begging. All right, join us next time where we talk about discipline.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard topic, you know, as a dad.
Yeah, single dad especially.
Yeah, especially if you were married to somebody that did not agree with you, which luckily I didn't have that, so that's good.
Well, I had sole custody, so I got to be the one to decide everything.
Yeah, you were the mom and daddy.
I kind of was for a while, yeah. We'll just end it there.